hosts, my brother and my sister. This is home week. I'm in from out of town. This is from a letter that I wrote to a friend of mine. So I just want to, I feel like this belongs to him. I wrote this for Doug, but I want to dedicate it to my husband who is home with our sick dog. So, good thoughts to them tonight. I despise squirrels and find healthy raccoons delightful in their roly-poly wobbliness. The fact that they clean their food with their little eerily human-looking hands and can run right up a tree with remarkable agility and grace, despite their portly profile, I find endlessly endearing. Squirrels, on the other hand, well, they just seem about as close to the devil's partner in rodent form as anything I have seen. I can't explain why. They just seem so perpetually taut, you know? Every sinewy muscle clenched at all times, ready, willing, and able to strike with pointy, diseased fangs and everyone who crosses their path. There is one story from my deep past that redeems them even the slightest bit. Want to hear it? Okay. Yes. Vicious but oddly admirable squirrel story it is. Second grade was a particularly low point of my traumatic educational experience. This was due in no small part to a particularly horrific, teased-up hair of a teacher, one Miss Benditson, who several years later was the object of a walkout by the majority of her students. When it came to light how outrageously racist and mean she was, the boycott was an abysmal failure, though I continue to support the Chicago Teachers Union in spite of its defense of her. All right. Also contributing to my misery was a tow-headed 7-year-old monster named Jay Felgenhauer. Jay was a beast. He literally chased me halfway home every single day. Well, every day I was in school, which was probably about every third day on average. I was fast, but he still managed to land a few impressive and painful punches to my spine over time. This was my "he must really like you" moment. Most girls have one. You go to your mom with the complaint of schoolyard terrorism, and because you are only 7 and are never taken seriously, this is what you are told, and the terror continues unabated. Well, that was the case here. One morning, Jay showed up late for school, disheveled and bleeding. Apparently, on the way to school, he had decided it would be a lark to throw rocks at a squirrel, who then, as squirrels will when attacked, ran up and bit him. I don't recall what happened next, but if there is any justice in the universe, he was held down and forced to endure multiple painful rabies shots. I don't recollect when his abuse of me ended either. Probably the school year ended, and after the summer, he had moved on to harassing someone or something else. But I can tell you that many years later, while on a visit with my mother, I learned that the plumber currently toiling away under her kitchen sink was none other than my former classmate, Jay Felgenhauer. My reaction was no different than that of someone encountering their kidnapper years after they had moved free. I fled. It was stunning how frightened I was, even as I understood, with the compassion that adulthood sometimes brings, that he must have had his own demons to contend with. After all, he had come straight to school after being bitten by a wild animal instead of running home. I can only imagine what he would have encountered if his mother had found out he had been messing with a squirrel when he was supposed to be in class. Or perhaps he did go home first and was sent right back out without so much as a Band-Aid or a booger kiss. It is clear to me now that his violence against me was evidence of the trickle-down violence that sociologists love to write papers on. Still, it sucked to be me at 7, even if it sucked to be Jay as well. My point in telling this story, what was it? is that once upon a time, 48 years ago, there had been one squirrel that had been my hero. Pushed back on behalf of every downtrodden, subjugated individual, voiceless and crushed under the bitter heel of tyranny by biting that fucker Jay Feldman. Otherwise, I hate them. I, like many New Yorkers, prefer the mild-mannered subway track scurrying rat. Whenever I am lucky enough to spot one, perhaps as I await the Uptown C train, I try to follow it with my eyes until it is out of sight. There is something so uniquely satisfying about watching that camouflage-toned, humpbacked body weaving in and out of the rails, so decidedly not cute or cuddly, existing unapologetically and wholeheartedly as vermin. Can squirrels claim the same? No.